Alright, what is happening? Just got home from work and I found a package in my mailbox. This is a knife in here, and it is the result of yet another trade that I did on the Reddit Knife Swap subreddit. If you guys haven't checked that out, it's a really good way to trade your knives that you're wanting to cycle out of the collection or buy knives. You know, there are only knives for trade on there. There's also mostly knives for sale, actually, but occasionally you'll see some on there for trade. So that's what I do when I have a knife that I don't like too much, or maybe just don't use quite enough, and I want to check something else out. I'll just trade it. So let's dig in here. I know what this is, obviously, and you're about to find out. It's kind of a cool little knife I made today. It's been slow at the shop, so I just it's nowhere near perfect, but I figured it'd be a nice little package opener. It's kind of modeled after the Cold Steel Tough Light a little bit. You can see the resemblance. Alright, so this is a knife maker that I had never heard of before it was offered to me in this trade. The brand is Orion Knives, and this is called the Solaris. Look at that. Pretty big knife. Not massive, but it's pretty big. I'd say like Manix 2 size. It's a button lock, as you can see. We got thumb studs and a flipper. G10 aluminum collar there, red collar around the pivot. Red G10 backspacer. Wow, we got a titanium pocket clip. That is a nice touch. Okay, I thought it was proprietary hardware for a second, because on the pivot you can see those 3 holes. But actually on the other side there is a Torx screw. So, all right, let's flip this baby. So we do thumb studs or flipper tab first? Let's do thumb studs first. Here we go. Okay. Let's try the action. Oh yeah. Flipper tab. All right, I like this. Very good action. Free swinging blade, pretty much free swinging. I do feel it kind of feels like it's rubbing on something. If you can kind of hear it. Oh, that time you couldn't hear it. No, maybe not. Nope, maybe it went away. So right off the bat, the thumb studs are really far down from the pivot. As you can see, most knives would have the thumb studs somewhere around this area. So when you're doing the thumb flick, it feels like you have a long way to kind of push it to get it out. It does have a pretty good detent, but you're kind of like having to push pretty far up with your thumb. It feels like definitely doable, and I'll get used to it. But detent's great for the flipper tab. Nice and snappy. So I traded the Kaiser Hiccup for this knife, another button lock, and I just wasn't that impressed with the Hiccup. I got the Black Richlight flipper tab one. They have both a front flipper version and a regular flipper version. I had the regular flipper version, and I wasn't that impressed with the detent. Using the flipper tab on that knife, the blade flew out, but there wasn't a good snap. It just didn't feel good, and that was the main reason I didn't like the knife. Aside from that, it was a great knife. It was really smooth, but man, the flipper tab on this one is fantastic. I actually like it better than the thumb studs, which usually I'm a thumb stud guy over flipper tabs, but This feels really good. So it's got kind of a weird shape to it. I don't know. It's definitely a very unique looking knife. I don't think you would ever hold it back here. That just seems ridiculous to hold it back here like this. So I think this is how you're gonna hold the knife, in this choke up position. And boy, is this a roomy finger choil. That is probably the most generously spaced finger choil I've experienced. It's really nice. There's no jimping up here on the thumb, but I mean, yeah, I'm so locked in that I don't care, you know? Yeah, I like this thing. We got a nice broad drop point blade. Really nice stone washing on it. Tumbled finish. I guess this is the Orion logo there. I don't hate it. I don't mind that. It's pretty unobtrusive billboarding there. We're looking at a blade steel 14C28N. Not mad about that at all. Let's see. It's fairly sharp. I'm definitely going to put a new edge on this thing. So, interesting knife. I believe new, these are around 80 bucks-ish. So pretty good price. And I mean, ergonomically, this thing is pretty dang good. I don't feel that pocket clip at all. Since it's a milled clip, you know, it doesn't have that bill on it. Only one screw, but it's recessed, so it doesn't shift side to side. I like that back spacer. Yeah. It's got a pretty thick handle, but I like that. It fills out my hand nicely. Feels really good. That action is really nice. And I'm getting used to that thumb stud now. At first it felt kind of weird. Let's try to reverse flick it. Yeah, I can do it. Man, that flipper tab is the way to go. And I really like it. Just flies out. Bam. Really nice. Yeah, this thing feels really good. Let's try it left-handed. Oh yeah. Piece of cake. Whoopsie. All right. Well, that is the Orion Solaris. I like this thing. I think this is a great option for, you know, if you want a button lock that's on the cheaper side of things. As far as I know, most button locks these days are, I think the cheapest button lock is probably a Civivi, and I think it's around 75 bucks, maybe 70. So, I mean, all the button locks right now are around the same price, at least the ones on the cheaper side. So I think this one's about 80 bucks. I think that's a really good price for it. Good blade steel, nice action, snappy detent, great ergonomics. I like the nice broad blade. It kind of reminds me almost of a Ritterhogue blade, the RSK, or maybe a Griptilian. I guess it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, nice broad blade, flat grind. Relatively thin at the edge, it feels like. Relatively, you know, blade stock that's on the thinner side, so this thing should slice really well. And yeah, that'll about do it. That's the Orion Solaris unboxing. And thanks for watching, folks. Adios.